So I'm getting ready to make an extremely long video. I put a timer on so that I don't talk too much. Um, excuse me. I'm actually running around doing chores. No, this isn't my house. And so I came across this article. It's actually a couple of different articles, same subject, about Burkina Faso and about it being ignored for the second year in a row. And I wanted to talk about it. So I have a nonprofit, Lacey's House, and I've been trying to collect donations for Burkina Faso. I have a lot of items which are in luggage that has to be taken, and then some of it is going to have to be it's going to have to be shipped. But I'm working with an airline to help me get the massive amount of crayons, because the crayons are really heavy and they're individual packs, 2, 3, 4 in some packs, because you buy them like that, and then coloring books and some other school supplies. They're very heavy. So anyway, you can go to gov.com or grants.gov, excuse me, but those grants are specific towards what the United States government wants to do in Burkina Faso. And quite frankly, I don't care what the United States government wants to do in Burkina Faso and like what they want to give funding to, but they're absolutely not giving funding to Burkina Faso. And on this TikTok thing and YouTube, you see all these videos about free Congo. I don't know how to say this. I don't want to sound insensitive, but the situation that has been happening in the Congo has been decades long. And when you say free Congo, it's just too complex to get into it. But there's like so many accounts that post about the Congo and Sudan, which Sudan is in the second year of another brutal civil war between the military and the militia group that had once got together, but now they're no longer together. So anyway, this article is from CNN, which I don't really like CNN, but there's other ones you can find and get the same information. However, there were a few things that I wanted to address. Trying to get individual funding, and I've gone to a lot of churches. There's a church behind me that I've gone to, and quite frankly, they didn't know what Burkina Faso was. And there's a lot of people that slap all Americans in one, and I've made some videos, not a lot, about my fucking horrific time living in Ghana. Everybody's Ghana is Wakanda. Shut the fuck up. This skin color, this accent, being scammed, defrauded, called fat. I'm fat, yeah, I am fat. But you don't want to walk down the street all day and everybody call you fatty, pig, piggy, Evo, dirty, tricky dog, Obroni. And if you don't answer to Obroni, don't you hear me calling you white woman? I'm not white. You know, my mom's not white, my dad's not white, my grandparents weren't white, so I'm not fucking used to being called white. And when I lived in Kenya, no one screamed Mzungu, Mzungu, because they very much more respectful, but whatever, I digress. So when I had issues in Ghana that I wanted to handle, because I also wanted to register Lacey's House in Ghana, and they asked me for thousands of dollars in bribery money. Bro, I used my own money because, frankly, I just didn't know how to fundraise. So I used my own money. And after $10,000 you sink into your nonprofit, it's like, I can't do it anymore. I'm being choked and I'm being strangled. And then I'm being called a pig, fat, fatty, mommy, big, biggie, obolo. It was exhausting, and it was frankly depressing. And I really wanted to never unalive myself more than when I lived in Ghana. And I think it's sad that a lot of people don't talk about the colorism and the darky blacky situation and all that shit. I'm from Philly, and nobody understands unless you live near Philly. But when somebody say I'm from Philly, it's like I don't give give a fuck. I'm from Philly. But I'm sitting in a small bar and across the street from where my ex, there's a Catholic church down the street, and that announcement is loud as shit. It's down the street. But anyway, so I'm sitting in a bar across the street from my ex's job, and someone comes in and is like, "Oh, what's up, Blackie?" So the Philly just jumped out at me, and I almost got locked the fuck up. So, like, quite frankly, what? I'm like, did you just call my man Darky? And that's when I realized Darky and Blackie is acceptable house names, which they use that term instead of nicknames. Are you fucking kidding me? So I feel like I wasted a lot of time, and I'm very in a bad place because it takes a lot of healing to move across the ocean to another continent and live in another country and be treated like shit. I really have a newfound respect for immigrants in the United States of America. So it was a teaching lesson, but it broke my soul. And quite frankly, moving from Kenya, I didn't expect it. I did expect that a lot of people would see this skin color and hear this accent and think I was white. But no one ever said that when I walked down the street, and no one ever called me a pig or fat or big biggie or say, "Oh, we love big, fat, obese women here." Like, I never thought that people would say anything that came to their mind. Like, where's the culture of saying, "Hey, you think it, but maybe you shouldn't say it"? So anyway, I'm talking too much about that shitty situation. So this is why I did not register in another country. And then in Kenya, I wasn't there long enough when I lived there. And frankly, Lacey's house wasn't a non-profit at the time that I was living in Kenya. So for about 3 years before the first ever coup that took place in Burkina Faso, I wanted to go to Burkina Faso. However, with this skin color and when you're in Tumu, Ghana, Tumu is right there. It's the border with Burkina Faso, and most Ghanaians in Tumu could just walk over, to Burkina Faso. I couldn't because of this skin color, because of this accent, because American passport. I just couldn't. And plus, at the time, I was visiting a soldier who was my ex, and he refused to allow me. That'll be some whole other video. He forbid me. That's the word. He forbid me. Oh, Africa. So anyway, I digress. This is why I set a timer. So anyway, this article here about Burkina Faso being neglected for funding and everything, because there are so many people that need humanitarian aid, and they're not getting funding. And the United States is throwing trillions of dollars into other countries, and we see it all the time. Israel and Ukraine are getting billions, and it's probably trillions by this point. I don't know, but it's a lot, considering that people in Sudan need assistance. But if you look in this article, it mentions neglected crisis. So let's talk about it. Of course, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are listed as neglected crisis because they have the same shared issue, which is terrorism coming in from their Sahel region. And the Sahel region stretches across 9 countries, and they all are affected, even Chad. And yeah, so I've been having a very difficult time because a lot of people don't know what the fuck Burkina Faso is. And so 2 years ago, when I started using their flag as my avatar or profile photo across all my social media platforms, I started getting a lot of hate. And it was weird. Like, one guy, and the first 5 people to start giving me hatred were Ghanaians. Go figure. One man said, "What do you people know? You're all shooting and killing each other." That's not true. That's not true at all. Another woman from Ghana said that we stink. We meaning people from Burkina Faso, because she thinks that I'm from Burkina Faso, which I don't find that as an insult, so I don't give a shit. But she was like, you stink, why don't you come over and I'll teach you how to use roll-on on your armpits. And right there was when I knew that I was getting a glimpse of how difficult it was to try to raise awareness about what was going on in the country. Also, in this article, it mentions the military in Burkina Faso was accused of killing over 200 citizens by a NGO. NGO means nonprofit in the United States, but in other countries it's non-governmental organization, which is what I want to register when I get out of the country as my nonprofit, as an NGO. So anyway, an NGO accused them of the military of killing citizens because they had a phone interview with some citizens in Burkina Faso. The fuck? A phone interview. Okay, so I've read a lot of articles about that whole situation. I don't believe it. Doesn't seem to make sense. And there are a lot of photos. I have probably hundreds of photos of battles engaging the military and some of the people who were committing terrorism in the country. And guess what they're wearing? I'll give you one guess. They're wearing uniforms. They're wearing camouflage. And if anybody's ever lived in an African country, and even here in the United States, it's not too difficult to get a uniform for the American military here, like Army, whatever. You can go out and get the uniform. You can even buy fabric and make your own. It's like whatever, but I don't even want to get into that. In some countries around the world, it's extremely easy to just buy a uniform. And so that's one of the things, one of the reasons why I don't believe this. And then number two is because it's from an outside source that claims that they talk to people over the phone. In what language? You know, there are, French is no longer the official language, but there now are like 13 major languages, but still there are dozens and dozens more languages spoke in the country. So what language were they speaking? I'm curious to know, but that's number two. And then number three is who believes in NGO. Like, I'm sorry, but whatever. Also, it mentions crisis in like Cameroon, which is the Anglophone crisis. Anglophone, of course, means English. Francophone means French. So part of the country in Cameroon, they want to break off and make their own country, you know, like North and South Sudan did, except they want it to be like a Anglophone, English-speaking country of Cameroon. And that has been like 8 years. And that's accumulated a lot of deaths and displacement, and children were out of school for years. Also, it's mentioned the Central African Republic, which has been also for a few years. There's also, I think, 2.5 to 3 million people displaced in that country. I don't have the exact number at the top of my head. I think it was like 2.3 the last time I saw. 1 million people who were either internally displaced in the Central African Republic or just outside of the borders of the Central African Republic. And it doesn't list every crisis. There's a lot of crises all over the world, but especially on the African continent. It doesn't mention Ghana at all because I don't even want to talk about that. Because 80% of the politicians own the media in Ghana, and you're also detained. They don't use the word arrested because you're detained for like 3 weeks, a month, whatever, if you report on certain things in the country. So you don't hear about the 3 conflict areas in Ghana. You don't hear about Bauku, Bogatanga, or Sampa. You don't hear about those conflict issues in the country. Oh, Jesus. Because when you're a friend of America, you kind of like get to ride under the radar. So like they're trying to accuse the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré of human rights violations for killing some 200 people that they're claiming the military killed, which they have no proof. But let me use Ghana as an example. Again, I have to because I think it's absolutely funny, the hypocrisy of the United States, the United Nations, whatever you want to call it. 175 citizens were beaten and made to eat cow shit and drink water out of the gutter. We don't have gutters like that here in the United States, but whatever, gutter water, which is piss and rainwater. And it was videos all over. Even TikTok has videos of this happening. The military is accused of killing several people in those conflict areas of Baku, Bogatanga, and Sampa, but you don't ever hear about that. 49 people were arrested in the protest that took place in the capital of Ghana. And I have a video which I can't post on TikTok. A lot of my videos get removed, but I have a video of someone snatched behind police gate, and they close the gate, and you can literally see through the crack, like they're like beating the fuck out of this person. And then the people on the other side are describing and screaming that they're beating on him. No human rights violations for Ghana. No NGO is saying, wow, look at these violations by the military and the police. No, because when you're a friend of, when you're a friend of this big, dangerous fucking country, you get away with a lot of things. Just like there's, every year the United States has these human rights violations given out per country, except they kind of like skip the United States, of course. And then one year Saudi Arabia was on the list, and they like removed them from the list because why not? They're Saudi Arabia. We need oil. So that's not even funny at all. I'm trying to smile from crying. So it has been very difficult to raise money for Burkina Faso, and what I do is go around to a lot of churches, mosques. I haven't gone to a synagogue yet, but why not? I need the funding. I need the funding really badly. And by the way, since I'm making this video, which TikTok will probably remove because I said some things a little too honestly that I shouldn't have said. When people say, oh, share this background, it gives money to Congo, and it gives money to this, and it gives money to that. No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. You can Google that. It doesn't. I used to follow somebody on this platform that used to write on one of the platforms I write on Medium, and she got over 10,000 followers, and she used to share bullshit. She shared a video from this woman who said that, first off, she talked about Africa as a country, and she said Africa kicked out France. She said Africa kicked out France. The 56 countries of Africa and the 55 countries in the African Union kicked out France. And that woman, and I'll show you what that woman looks like and her account looks like. She has hundreds of thousands of followers. I don't know if it's hundreds of thousands. I haven't looked at her stupid account yet, but when I did look at it back then, she had, several thousand. I don't know. 50, 60,000, and she called Africa a country and said the country of Africa kicked out France. Bro, you can't make this shit up. And then she said you can't read news about Africa unless you know somebody in Africa. You can see I'm not in Africa right now, and I read the news every day. It's I don't suggest it. It's pretty depressing, very much depressing actually. It's really like killing my fucking soul actually to read the news every day. But anyway, I just wanted to do this video because I know everybody has their agendas and they have their things, and there's all these long videos about Congo, and I'm glad people are finally talking about what's been happening in Congo for decades, not 5 minutes, not this year, not since TikTok started, before TikTok. If you read the news and then you follow these countries, it has been happening for a very long time. And when you say free Congo, you can't talk about Congo without talking about Rwanda. I shouldn't have said that, but whatever. It's easy to hate the West. It's easy to hate Western countries. It is easy because they're very vile. But you gotta talk about Rwanda. You gotta talk about why the government of Congo is accusing Rwanda of causing the fighting and destabilization in their country. I mean, you have to, and I don't understand. Every video I watch about Congo, I usually turn it off because they never mention Rwanda. And Burundi is actually closed its border with Rwanda after the 20 people in their country were, oft. So you can't just keep this is a nice platform to share information, but just like the internet, when people say, oh, Google's free, I found Google has a bunch of sites about how Earth is flat. And I just wrote an article because there's a Kenyan gentleman who's trying to tell people that Earth is flat because Alaska is near Russia. So he said Earth is flat. Alaska, which used to belong to Russia but now belongs to the United States, of course, is very close to Russia. And he said now that proves that the Earth is flat. He has 92,000 followers. He's on Facebook and he has 92,000 followers and he says Earth is flat. Oh, Jesus. I'm tired though, and I'm laughing because I'm fucking tired. I'm absolutely fucking tired. How can a country be so fucking ignored? Even before Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso was great. It was always great, but plagued with instability and coups, ridiculous amount of coups. You know, one man was in power for 17 days in Burkina Faso. However, Burkina Faso is home to most cultural and awards programs and music programs than most countries in Africa, especially West Africa. They have more cultural events, more award shows, and I post some of them on my page. Most people don't talk about that shit because of the French, because of language. I don't understand why so many West African countries get ignored for Nigeria and Ghana. And 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, I wouldn't recommend Ghana to a dog. And I don't give a fuck if people... I've been getting death threats because I'm writing a manuscript called The Unwelcoming to Ghana. You don't invite someone to your dirty house. I had a miserable fucking time. I'm fat. I don't want to walk every 2 feet and have someone call me a pig, call me fatty or bolo. I don't want to be called white. I'm not white. I'm not mixed race. I'm not biracial. I don't want to be called white. You understand? And if there's... What is there? I think maybe 19% European DNA. Oh, who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? Meghan Markle got more acceptance in Nigeria than I got in Ghana. Walking around, minding my fucking business, not bothering a soul. Quiet, didn't say anything to nobody. Jump on a bus to go see my fucking soldier, and just bothered every fucking day because of the color of my fucking skin. And so I'm exhausted as fuck. And it's really exhausting to try to raise awareness for a country that you want to move to like yesterday. Like fucking, I would be gone like yesterday if I had the money, if I had the funding. I can't go someplace empty-handed, and I can't take all the supplies that I've collected and bought. I'm already almost at my limit. I think you can only have like 10 suitcases because I moved to, you move around a little bit, and I think the most I've ever taken is 6. Yeah, but this time it's going to be the max. I'm gonna be at 10, and then the rest of it, I'm gonna have to make arrangements. But whatever, I digress. That's neither here nor there. The fact that Burkina Faso gets ignored not only by the world, by fucking Africans, by Africa, and then you only pay attention to them because you like the way someone speaks to the imperialists, the oppressors. You like what he says, but you don't like and love his country. What the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? I've sat here some nights for hours watching like programs that they have live. It's fucking amazing. It's a beautiful country, beautiful culture. Not loud, not abrasive, not look, we gotta pave a fucking road. That's embarrassing.